Now that we've got our subdevelopment site with all of the alignments already set up and the parcels divvied up based on the right-of-way, we want to move on to the vertical curves. So we've got roadways here in a horizontal curve fashion, and they're called alignments here in Civil 3D. And now what we want to do is deal with the vertical curves, which is going to give us the elevation details along this horizontal curve. So if you're more interested in horizontal curves and vertical curves, you'll talk about these in surveying class, but I've also created a playlist that assembles some other videos I found on YouTube to discuss what these actually are. So check out the link in the description for this video to get a little bit more information on that. We're going to use the roadway alignment to create the vertical profile here to start. So to do this, we're going to go to the Home tab, go to Profile, Create Surface Profile, and it brings up this dialog here. We're going to pick roadway. The selected surfaces is this existing grade surface that we've been working with, e.g. We're just going to use all these defaults here. This is the starting station, this is the ending station, and we need to click on the Add button, and this puts the existing grade surface down here. What we need to do now is click Draw in Profile View. This is the Profile View Generator dialog here. We're going to rename our profile view here roadway. This is going to contain the existing profile as well as our proposed profile that we'll get to. Next, we can go through some of these options. I'm just going to accept the defaults on all of these. And then finally we get to the end and we can click on Create Profile View. You could just click on this from the beginning, but I just wanted to flip through these to show you guys. We need to find a place to insert this, so I'm just going to move over to the right hand side and click over here, and you'll see we end up with this profile view. So the X axis here are the stations or distances along our horizontal alignment, and then the Y is our elevation detail, and this red curve is the elevations along our horizontal curve that come from our surface. So if you remember, we've got a bit of grade here, so if I go to my surface properties for EG and turn back on the contours, what you can see is we've actually got a slope that starts up here and slopes downward along this road, which is what we're seeing here. Alright, so that's the existing grade. What we want to do now is move to creating a proposed profile. So to do that, I'll click on my profile view, and it brings up the panels for profile, and we're going to go to the Create our Profile Creation tool, and I'm going to call this roadway Proposed. It's a design profile. We can leave the complete label set configuration here, and we'll hit OK. It brings up the tools here, and we're going to start by laying out our tangent lines. So we'll click on the Draw Fixed Tangent by 2 points, and we want to make sure that we touch on the end point, so make sure you're snapping to an end point. And then from here we can create the basis of our vertical curves any way we want. I'm going to put a couple points of intersection here. So I finished the first line. It's still in the line command, so I'll click on the endpoint from before and maybe put another point right here, and I'll put one more point so I can add a bit of curvature there. So make sure you get to the end point. When you're done with your lines, you can hit escape, and you'll see it adds some information for us. So this first line segment's at a negative 1.3% grade. There is a grade break here at this particular station at that elevation, and then there's a 9% slope, and then that leads into a 6% slope. So we don't really want these grade breaks in there as they exist now, so we're going to add some curvature. So these are the vertical curves. So if you click on this triangle, you get a bunch of different ways to draw these, and the two that we would be primarily interested in are the parabola curve and the free vertical curve that's circular. I'm going to use the parabola, and it's asking for the first entity, and I just need my tangent line on the left and then my tangent line on the right, and then it's going to ask for a curve length or a radius or a pass through or a k value for curvature. So these are all just different ways to define your vertical curve, your actual curve here. I'm going to leave this at 150 feet for the curve length, and we can modify it here in just a minute. So I'm going to hit escape to get out of the command. You can see up top here we've got a bunch of data on our particular curve. So it starts at this particular station and it ends at this particular station in elevation, and we've got some curvature details up here. And if we want to, we can actually modify the radius here, and we can use these points to drag our point of intersection around. So shift right click nearest. Actually, I'm just going to turn off all my object snaps for now, and what I can do is I can move these curves around and do a little bit better job of approximating my grade, how I want it to exist. And we can actually use a lot of these different handles in various ways. So just make sure you play around with that and see how we can do that. I'm going to add one more, so another free vertical curve at this point, and I'm going to maybe bring this down a bit. And it looks like I'm already running into the other curve. And that slope's a bit high, so let's modify that. Alright, so my blue curve here is going to be my proposed curve. Again, I'll drag these labels down so they're not all the way up at the top so that we can see them a little better. And so I've got two curves, I've got three tangent lines, and I made sure to start at the starting point or end point of the existing grade and the end point at the end of my horizontal alignment. And so now what we have is the existing grade and our proposed grade, and we'll use this in the future when we start to lay out our corridors or our roadways. I'm going to do this a little bit quicker on the next one just to show you a few more details. So I go to Profile, Create Surface Profile, and let's do this for Frontenac Drive. We're going to hit the Add button, Draw in Profile View. I'll call this Frontenac Drive for the profile view name. Create Profile. We'll just put it right here next to the other one. That one's a bit longer. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to go to Create Profile Tools. We'll call this Frontenac Drive Proposed. And Design Profile, hit OK. I'm going to just create from, I got to turn my object snaps back on, from endpoint all the way to endpoint. So shift right click, endpoint, just to make sure I get the endpoint. So this is not what you would want, but what you can do is come in here to these layout tools and insert a point. So maybe we'll put one right here. Oops, I think I put too many in there. So it snapped to the midpoint and put one there for me. So let me try that one more time. So we'll click on this tool. I'm going to shift right click, go to nearest, and we'll put one more here. And hit escape. So now you can see these points, and we can click on our profile and we can move them around wherever we need them. So again, I'm going to turn object snap off just so it's not constantly bugging me. So I'm going to add one more just to show you that we can then actually remove them if we don't need them. So there's a remove PBI tool, and we can just get close to it and delete it. So you can add, you can remove, and then again we can come in here to the vertical curve and add them. And I'm going to do them all at the same time here. And then I'm going to modify them just a bit. And then once I'm happy with that, I'll close out of this. And again, I can move these down so they're not right on top of our labels up top. And then you also need to do that for the third row. We'll go ahead and save this now. So make sure you complete the third one as well, and we'll save this as Concord Commons Step 6.